So watercolors, the best paper in your packet, which is this that we did last week. If you weren't here for last week, that's fine. I do need you to let me know that you weren't here for last week. If you don't have your watercolors, I also need you to let me know that. A brush, a card to trace if you weren't here last week. The random thing I asked for is also color pencils and a dime, which I keep, oh, there's one. And a dime. If not a dime, you'll just have to draw a circle that's small, which is totally fine. So color pencils, a water container, and paper towels for cleanup. Okay. A penny's a little too big. I'd almost rather you hand drew it than used a penny. You could probably get away with penny. So if you only have a penny, that's fine too. Okay, so this first bit that we're gonna need a yellow color pencil and a black color pencil. And the dime. There's the other dime. There's the card. Okay. Hopefully everybody's back. Is everybody doing okay? All right, I'm just gonna hope that we're good. You guys are gonna be quiet. Okay, so here's last second period. So if you weren't here last week, okay, I'm just gonna talk about this for a minute. If you were here last week, you're good to go. But if you weren't here last week, this is the thickest piece of paper in your packets. This is the watercolor paper. It's the largest and the thickest piece of paper in there. So just make sure that if you've got it, please work with the watercolor paper. If you don't have it, use the thicker paper that's in there, which is just drawing paper. It's still gonna absorb it like crazy. It really does. This is remarkably so much better than the regular paper. Watercolor is really meant to work on watercolor paper, and this is better than regular paper. So as much as I like downplay how not great these watercolor papers are, they're better than nothing. That's for sure. And again, if you weren't here last week, we're doing a triptych, which is 3 works of art viewed as one. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever card you trace and you're going to center it as best you can on your page. Okay. You're going to very lightly trace it with pencil. And then I want 2 more. I want 1 on either side. 1 here, and then 1 here. Okay? And that's the triptych. And you can just leave this one blank for now. You can fill it in with something, and I give you credits. You can go back and do last week's assignment. It's totally up to you. But we're just going to keep working on this. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so for this next one, guys, I'm going to share really quick the original image so you can see it that we're working from. Share. It's not this one. It's okay. Period 2, credit 4. We're just finishing credit 4. Fun fact. Number 16, sunset on the water. And it's this one, but we're gonna change it a little. We're really just gonna work with this part of it right here. And I'm actually gonna use a little less blue than they do. I'm going to stick more with like the warmer sunset colors. If you would like to work from that, you are welcome to. Okay. Let's do this. So starting with here, what you're going to do is we're going to do with the black color pencil, the faintest lines, so light, straight through the middle, as straight as you can make it. Mine's not even that straight. That's okay. It's as pale as I can get it. Okay. And that's just a marker so that we know where the horizon is. And now we're going to add rocks. Now the rocks taper into the water. So they're fatter towards the edge and then they get smaller. But I'm going to start smaller. So I'm going to start 3/4 of the way across, and then I'm tapering up. And then I'm going to give it one kind of bump, another bump, and then a final kind of bump. And then I'm also going to do one tiny little taper on this side. So this is our bay. This is the rocks in the water that show that we're viewing this from the shore. that we're not viewing this from deep water. We're viewing this from the shore, looking out into the distance. So it is important to color these in as deeply as you can get them. If it takes 2 layers, it takes 2 layers. The reason we're doing this is just like the cactus last time. Detail, we don't have small enough brushes for detail. So the detail on this works really well. I think I'm gonna write like a donor's choose for good watercolors for you guys. It'd be hard to document that it happened, but okay, so that's as dark as I can get it. There's my rocks. Okay. So fun fact, we now take our time and we figure out, we choose where we want our sunset to be. And really, you could kind of choose anywhere. Wouldn't be the end of the world. I'm going to choose it over the rocks because I feel like it. I'm going to choose it. I want it off to the side. I don't really feel like something dead center. You can have it dead center if you choose. I'm going to pull it off to the side a little. I like things slightly off to the side. Asymmetrical. It bothered me to do this line through the middle. Really, a good rule of thumb is something called rule of thirds, where you keep things off the middle generally. So I'm taking my yellow color pencil and I'm going to trace my dime to make the most gigantic sun ever. It's way too large, but it's okay. It's fantasy. It's just meant to be beautiful. Okay, now you're going to color in the yellow as darkly as you can, just as solid as you did the black. The reason being is we're going to work with watercolors around it, and the wax of the color pencils will repel it to a degree, and that means it'll end up being more likely stay like pure yellow. There are tools in the watercolor kind of community or techniques that you can use to create like pure white. You guys don't have. There's something called Frisket. That's its name. Frisket is this liquid. It's almost like liquid latex in a sense, where you put it on your paper and you can watercolor on top of it and then peel it off, and it creates perfect white areas. We don't have that. So straight up yellow sun, as dark as you can get it with your pencil. This is really important for both of them. You're going for solid. Does anybody not have these supplies? Is anybody just totally lost? You can send me a chat. You can let me know. You guys are worrying me. I haven't heard from anybody since we started.
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate that, Brian. All right. Anybody else? How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Good. Thank you, Michael.
I'm doing good.
Clint is good. Okay, guys, you're making me feel a little better about this. Okay. So one thing that we got going on with our watercolors is that this one, I use this palette for many classes. So I don't really know how you guys are doing out there, but I had somebody last period tell me they were almost out of yellow. And it's possible. I forgot to mention to check her bag. Oh shoot. But just if you're running, I'm gonna try. We're gonna use yellow today, and if you have just as little bit as me, we can make that work. You just got to be a little bit more thorough about getting it wet and moving it around a lot, and it'll release its color just fine. But we're running low, so taking my brush and my water, and I'm gonna put 1 drop of water in the yellow. I'll put 1 drop of water in the red, and I'm gonna put 1 drop of water in the blue just to kind of get things going. Those are the only colors we're going to use today. I wish we had orange. I love orange. Orange is actually my favorite color to paint with. And I miss it. And I'm sad that we don't have it. Okay. But I said that, and now I kind of want to make it. If you notice, I made it last period. So we're going to get our yellow, and we're going to mix. Mix. Trying to get my tiny little bit of yellow. Be nice and bold and vibrant. And I'm going to pull it out here. And I'm going to add the tiny bit of red. Yes, that's a good. And now I've got orange. Okay, so mostly yellow, a little bit of red, and you get a nice solid orange. Okay. That's just off to the side, ready for us to use. Hopefully you guys are caught up with me. I'm going to tackle this. You can choose to just watch me and then do it, but it's literally going to take a minute. It's going to go really fast. Or you can try and do it along with me. I will try and go as slow as possible. Last period, I did what's called wet on wet, where we wet the page and then put the colors. I'm not going to do that this time. Wet on wet, you have less control. But I didn't really like having less control last period, so what we're going to do. But it helps things blend. That's the perks of wet on wet. So I'm just going to get my red going. Notice, I want you guys to see the consistency. It's thick, but it's not so thick it doesn't flow. That's really important. If it's so thick that it's almost like a true paint, like an acrylic, then it's too thick. But okay. So I'm gonna do my best to go around the sun really quick. I just went totally on top of it, and now I'm gonna wipe it off. Oh my god, I'm doing a really bad job. Maybe I should have waited till the end to get it off my. That was just not great. Pretend I didn't do it like that. So there's my red. And then I'm gonna pull it across. I'm going to leave a slight gap over here on the edge. I do recommend wiping off your red off your sun as much as you can. You can always go back in with your brush to clean it up. I'm going to add a tiny bit of, I'm not really cleaning my brush, just getting a little bit of that blue, and I'm going to work it into this side. It's going to create more of a purple than anything. Just a hint that there's the blue of the sky. Okay, it's important to move quick. So from here, I'm going to add my orange. And I'm going to do a layer of orange to try and break up the edge of that red. And it's important to blend, guys. A lot of people last period didn't spend any time blending, and it showed. Okay, I'm cleaning my brush because I want pure yellow. Going into my yellow. Mix. And now I'm going to do a whole swath of yellow. And I am touching the edge of the orange to try and like blend it out. Okay. Oh, sorry, you can't see. And now along the top here, I'm just going to add the tiniest bit of orange to the top. And that's my sky. That is it. I'm done with it. I see there's kind of a sharp line right here. I'm going to spend some time blending it. Okay. A lot of people felt better about their paintings last period after we did the water. So if you're not happy with your sunset, that's okay. How'd it go, guys?
It's going good.
Good. Thank you, Alex. Anybody else want to share how you're doing? No? Okay, I'm going to give it another minute before I do the next part. Make sure that you guys have plenty of time to do your top area. If you found that you got a lot of color on your sun, take bare water. So just fresh water. Take your brush and you can try and clean it up a little. Okay, I'm getting ready. I'm gearing up here to start the water. Does anybody need more time? No? Okay. Well, okay. So it's important to say when working with this, notice I worked this way. So this is me being right-handed. If you're left-handed, you're going to do the opposite. Notice I worked with this way, working out. That way I'm not trying to paint on top of and get my hand through the middle of things. And now I'm going to work this way. It's a handy fact of having a horizon line. So I'm going to work from here down, okay? I am trying to use the biggest brush I can so that for those of you who have larger brushes, you should hopefully be able to follow along with me. You should also always be using the smallest brush you own. So it's going to make things so much easier when working with these tiny paintings. I really didn't think things through that well. Okay, so I got to get in here, get my yellow going because we're going to start with yellow. We're going to really spend some time getting that yellow mixed out. It's pretty much done. Gonna struggle with next period. Okay. So there's my yellow. It's as thick as I can get it. It's a good color. So here's the important part with this, and I didn't impart this quite as well as I should have last period. You are only going to use, for this point, it's vertical strokes, but it's horizontal strokes through the horizon. You're matching the horizon line. Watercolor or lines in water viewed from a distance are always horizontal. So this is going to be almost like an upside down Christmas tree, but without too much of a point, where the lines kind of go across and they're uneven. And I'm using the very tip of my brush. Should get a little fatter towards the bottom. It's okay to be streaky about it. It's okay to have lines that go wider. No rules, but that's the highlight. And notice that's straight down from the sun. That's the important part because that's the sun reflecting on the water. Okay. I forgot to mix fresh orange, and I am so close to out of yellow, so I've got to get that whatever yellow I can scoop out of here. I made a big note to myself that this next project we won't use any yellow. So yellow, tiny dash of red. There's my orange again. Okay, now I'm going to do another layer of these strokes, and they are touching the orange. Again, they're straight up and down. Side to side. My orange, because it's blended, it's got a lot more water in it. So this is blending a lot firmer. It's blending a lot more than the yellow did, and that's fine. So there's my orange. If you can mix thicker orange than me, please do so. Okay. And then red. Red's going to be pretty dominant. Just gonna... So notice it's the only time I painted downward, but then I'm going to pull it sideways with the tip of my brush. There's my red along. That's a little too even. And pull one across. Okay. Now I'm going to take my red again. going from the tip here. I'm going to stay away from this side at like an angle. Like imagine there's a triangle right here. I don't know if that makes any sense, but. We brought in some very, very bright dominant red. That's fine. When it gets that vibrant, it's just got less water, which can be a good or a bad thing, depending on how you choose it to go. I'm not hating that. I'm not hating it. Looking pretty good. Add a little bit more deep red down in here. Balance it. So I'm picking the places I want some more vibrant red, and I'm trying to add like thicker, brighter red. Okay. It's looking pretty good. I'm almost done. I'm just going to add a little bit of blue. I'm again not cleaning my brush between my red and my blue so it mixes in my brush, and so it'll kind of create a little bit of purple. Maybe a little bit more blue. Some more color. Probably a little too much blue, but there we go. I am done. Stick a fork in me. Okay, when you're done, take a photo, submit it, and then you're good to go. And let me know, please. Again, as usual, I want to hear from you before you walk out the door. What can I say about this? So if you hate it, then just let it dry. Oh, sorry. I kicked my light. That was scary. Because there's no cover on it. It's just a bare bulb. It'd shatter if it fell. Anyway, if you hate it, let it dry. Do another layer. That's totally an option. You might hate it even more after that, but it might be better. If you're having trouble with things blending, you can always add just pure water to your brush. So say I didn't like this line right here, which I don't love. I just got straight water on my brush. Notice how it's a lot gentler. I can do that. This is pretty muddy, this whole thing. Working with a big old brush in this tiny little space. It's not easy. So you guys are doing the best you can, and I have no agenda. The things I look for when I grade are things like, did you mix orange? Did you try and blend the colors? Or are they all just really sharp edges, especially towards the top up here? Those are the things I'm grading, not too much else beyond that. Certainly not, like how it looks. It doesn't matter. I'm just looking on. I really look to see if you followed the steps as closely as you could.